Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Slay to Success Talk Show. My name is Rochelle, Slay Queen Hemingway, CEO and founder of Slay to Success. I advise and I empower women professionals, especially women veterans, to step up into their most authentic personal brand to gain and attract not only opportunities, I'm talking about profitable opportunities, okay? And when we do that, we are focusing on 4 different areas: our appearance, behaviors, communication skills, and digital presence. Because once we master all these things for where we are going, we get everything that we desire and, most importantly, that we deserve. So, on this show, y'all, I bring in guests, okay, men or women who I know are using the Slay philosophies to positively impact the world in which they are living in. And y'all, you know, I am searching high and low, but sometimes I have people in the midst of my circle and I'm like, you know what? It's time for you to come on the show, Queen. Okay. So the queen that I have with me tonight, y'all, absolutely SLAYMAZING. All right. So if you aren't not prepared, I highly suggest that you go get a cup of whatever your beverage of choice is, a pen and a paper, because these gems are about to drop. Okay. I know that you're going to receive the blessing. Okay. It is Sunday. I did go to church today, y'all, and you're going to get another blessing tonight by being with us because she is just a powerhouse. And so, what is Slay in all of this Slay Nation that I talk about? Well, this is a community of slayers, okay? We are killing it, dominating, and nailing it. We're on point. We're impressing greatly, and we are dreaming big and work hard until we own it. This is also an acronym, all right? Slay is just it's a full word, okay, with a lot of things that are attached to it. But each letter of the word of Slay represents a universal life and leadership philosophy that really resonates with me. And hopefully it resonates with you too. And that is stay ready to be ready, lead out loud, a sense of community, and knowing you are built to last. So, y'all, I am a professional keynote speaker, personal brand expert, certified image consultant, and author of many books out there. All right. Just go on Amazon, put my name in the search engine. But most importantly, I'm a proud United States Air Force veteran of 30 years. Huh? And so after I transitioned from the military, I just became this creative. And this is one of my creations, which is the Slay to Success show. So as you're coming in, please let us know where you're coming in from, your name, your state that you want to shout out. Hey Chevy, how you doing, Queen? Thank you so much for being with us tonight on the show. And so just like Chevy did, you just go ahead and you put your name in there, and then I give you a shout out. Comes up on our screen. And share. Okay. And most importantly, if you have not gone to the Slay to Success YouTube channel, all right, you're missing out. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on over there, but go ahead and subscribe because I drop episodes every week, either on this show or on the Rise and Slay morning show at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, where I talk all about personal branding over there. All right. And that is one of the tools that I use to accelerate success. And so as a business owner, that's what I've chosen to do. And you can do it too. Okay. So let me just get on to this show and let us let's just kind of do exploration real quick on my guest. Now, my guest is the founder of Healthy Clarity and an Arbonne Independent Consultant. All right. AKA Kimberly Jarena Pollard. Okay. If you don't know Kim, you should know her. All right. So follow her wherever you can. Follow her on Facebook, follow her on LinkedIn, Instagram. She is already on these social media streets. All right. She is now blending intuitive coaching, holistic wellness, and ancestral wisdom to help women who are struggling life transitions and reclaim self-trust. She is a 24-year Air Force veteran. Huh? And I went to her retirement ceremony, y'all. And I tell you, if you were not there, I don't know where you were at because it was absolutely beautiful. All right. And now she's guiding clients through personalized journeys using reflective tools like symbolism, spiritual mapping, and ritual practices that nurture clarity and ease. She's creating sacred spaces where softness becomes strength and purpose feels personal. So in 2014, during her 10th year as an RPA sensor operator, and I used to know what RPA stood for, but she's going to tell me what it all the abbreviation is. But yeah, I've been removed from the military, from the Air Force for about 4 years now. So all these acronyms I don't even know anymore. Okay. But she became a military master resilience trainer, and through that experience, she was introduced to mindfulness, self compassion, and empathetic listening, skills that not only supported her military career, but reshaped how she led as a wife, special needs parent, and a mentor. So, we're going to be talking about all these things: living well, wellness lifestyle, her Arbonne consultant journey that she is in. So please give a warm welcome to my guest, Kim Pollard.
Hello, hello. I'm excited to be here. Thank you for that introduction. So,
Of course.
yeah.
I tell you, y'all, okay, so there's a circle of us, all right? There's a circle of women military affiliated here in the DMV. And I've had the pleasure to be included in this circle. And of course, Kim is in this circle. And, I, didn't know a lot of people when I got here. And when I did get here, we all kind of just gravitated around each other. So it's only fitting that you're here today with us, especially just a few months over. I think what August 1st was your official retirement date, right?
Right, August 1st. It's still fresh. August 1st.
Oh my gosh. Congratulations, Queen.
Thank
And
you.
thank you for your honorable and distinctive service. Okay. And I just want to share you with my audience and to let them know, like, the girl, the queen, the boss, the lady of the hour. So just give them a little bit of introduction, who you are, what life was like before you went in the military, a little bit of military, and then we'll really get started talking.
Okay, yes. So, what life was like before me? Well, one, I'm Kimberly. I am the founder of Healthy Clarity by Kimberly Jarena. So, just like Rochelle said earlier, I help people with health, wellness, beauty, body. Thank you so much, Jacqueline. And I do it through. I'm an intuitive coach. So I do it through many means. And so, before I came in the Air Force, I claim Coppers Cove, Texas, Central Texas. So Colleen, Coppers Cove, Fort Hood. Shout out to all my people in Central Texas. I claim that as home because my parents are both in the Army. I'm an Army brat. So I lived everywhere, but I went to high school in Coppers Cove, Texas. So I still claim that as home. What led me to the military? Well, it's interesting. My son is about to be a freshman in college. I say that because it was around the time in that first semester being a freshman in college when I stopped listening to my mom. I probably stopped listening to her before that time, but you can really tell in that first semester. And so we'll just say that I took a full load of classes, but I ended with aerobics and some other class like bowling or something like that. Something like, so, and I cut off all my hair and I joined the Air Force and I said, put me on the first thing smoking out of here. And I didn't ask enough questions. I went in open general. Yes, I did. I said, send me, I will go. And I did. I ended up being intel, went off to Korea, and yes, but that's what led me to the Air Force, was trying to get away from myself. And then I found myself. Really, that's what ended up happening. Mm-hmm.
Wow. I think that we can all resonate and relate to that. I think many of us were running away from something, or running to. I have a very similar like story, just, needed to get on out of the house. It was time for me to go, and my girlfriend challenged me on a buddy program. So I was like, here we go. She went into the Army, I went into the Air Force. So, you know, you went into the military, you found yourself at your first base in Korea, working in Intel. All right.
Mhm.
And I didn't understand, or I guess never really heard the whole story about your journey in the military. So like give them a little bit of the highlights, you
Okay.
know.
I will definitely give the highlights. So even before Korea, I will say that my mom is medical and dad was military. He didn't really let me know what he did. I think it ended up being satellites or something like that. So I thought I wanted to be medical. I say that because I thought I wanted to be a radiologist and do something in imaging. And so in that day in basic training where they say, hey, you can come pick your job, I saw imagery and thought, oh, the Air Force just has a different name for imaging. Yes, yes. That I accidentally became Intel. And so, and that's what led me to Korea. So went to Korea at 18, and that's a whole other life. It feels like I married my first husband at 19. So that was also part of that. You know, if I was coaching myself, well, hey girl, are you making the right decisions? Yeah, we're gonna go to the next duty station. Then I went to Hickam. I was there for 3 years, and Hickam was wonderful. It was the first time I deployed, all that kind of good stuff. Then went to Las Vegas, Nevada, where I was between for multiple years as a, like you said, RPA, as a remotely piloted aircraft sensor operator. I started off with RQ1 at the end of so that's the reconnaissance. That drone, a lot of people say drone. We don't say drone, but I was a drone operator for a long time. And so I started off at Indian Springs before it was Creech Air Force Base. I was there when it became Creech Air Force Base. I was also there when we were doing operations on Nellis Air Force Base. So I was there a long time, deployed to Balad Air Base in Iraq. And that was back when the base was getting mortared and all kinds of things like that. We were doing operations coming back to the States. We were doing operations all over the world. So a lot of us would say our brain was in combat, but our bodies were in Las Vegas, Nevada. That doesn't mean that any of the trauma isn't less. It is still there, right? That trauma of what you're saying is still there.
Yeah.
So I did that for about, I want to say about 5 years. At that location. And then I went to Holloman Air Force Base and became an MQ-9 formal training unit instructor, evaluator, all that kind of good stuff. It was fun to set up a new unit and do all those great things. Also started the single parent network there. At the time, I was a single parent. And so just talking and working with other single parents, other moms, other dads that were in those kinds of situations, that meant a lot to me then. It still means a lot to me now. I would say that's the beginning, some of the beginnings of, hey, what are you going to do with this? And it was around that time I decided that I wanted to do something in the area of resilience. And that was because I was weighing my decision. My next assignment ended up being the Pentagon. My decision I felt as if I was picking my career over my son. And so I went to talk to someone in Airman and Family Readiness. And at that time, the Army, they had their full resilience program. So the person that worked at Airman and Family Readiness, she was trained under the Army model. She taught me all the things and helped me, change my mindset and be like, no, you're making sure he's taken care of and all these other things. That helped me transition to the Pentagon and to Virginia, in 2012 back then. That helped me transition the first time and not feel the mom guilt, which is a normal thing to feel in the Air Force. Yep. And so I did that. I ended up being at the Pentagon for 5 years. The first time it was only supposed to be 3. Ended up being 5 years. Became a special needs family, and so that really changed the course as well. And that also changed it. By then, I was an MRT, and I would tell people that the hardest time to give someone what we call the Jedi mind trick, that are you practicing your active constructive responding, or are you practicing changing the narrative? Are you practicing what we'd say, getting out of the spiral, all those things? Are you practicing acceptance? Are you practicing mindfulness? I could teach it all day, but when it was happening to me, when the emergencies were happening to me, it was really, really hard back then, even as a master resilience trainer. But so between remotely piloted aircraft operations and between mom life, I said, okay, I have to find a way. It became so important to me back then. After the Pentagon, I went back to Creech Air Force Base. I was a senior enlisted leader of the 40 Deuce, the 42nd Attack Squadron. I absolutely loved every minute of that. And after that, then I went to Air Force Basic Military Training. I was a senior enlisted leader there. And that was new as well. It was all the trainees. I love the MTIs, all different AFSCs, right? And then seeing the trainees go from trainees to airmen, and I was there during COVID, so that was a whole other shock. So crisis leadership in COVID, and also during COVID, I left there, went off to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, became the command chief of the National Aerospace Intel Center, and it was still during COVID, so it was still crisis leadership. It was still, they were changing missions, all kinds of things like that. I still had to practice my, all the things that I had learned as a master resilience trainer, which also kind of put it in me that, hey, I really want to be a coach. I really want to help other people who are dealing with crisis situations, even if that means the whole world is at crisis. The other thing is leading in a crisis situation. As you know, we can't get caught up in all the things, right? We have to have our own way to make sure that we are far enough and separated enough from the crisis that's still happening to be able to lead and be able to help people see that bigger picture. And so there were practices that I had to make sure that I could be that kind of leader. And then finally back to the Pentagon, because I guess I just can't get enough.
Can't get enough of it.
So went back to the Pentagon, became the chief of enlisted developmental education, aka the chief of enlisted professional military education policy. I loved it. There were times I loved every minute. There were times where I was like, woo, okay, there's a lot going on. And so again, so between helping everybody else, helping myself, make sure, we were all on the same team, right? Make sure we're all on the same team, going in the same direction. There were some exciting times back then. So all of that goes into why healthy clarity became very important to me as I transitioned out to be a holistic coach, be an intuitive coach, and to help other people who are either dealing with crisis or dealing with special needs family members, or dealing with work is crazy, what am I going to do? Or I'm trying to, I have a lot of single moms in my network. Like, what am I going to do with the kids? And I need to work. And some of them, like, sometimes I want to date somebody, but I don't have time, right? So that kind of stuff, right? So just regular things. And then on top of that, right, we have to stay healthy. So that's where Arbonne came in there as well. So yes, that's like the career and putting it all together. It's all,
oh my gosh.
It's all a part of me.
Yeah, she been all around the world and yeah. Okay. Yes. I mean, I'm just saying, y'all, like, there's so much to what you share. Now, first of all, there is a pack of us that were able to serve in these higher leadership roles. I've got Charmaine on the other side over there on Facebook. Hey, Charmaine. Yes. All right, Charmaine. Yeah, you know what? She holding it down over there. But she is viewing in from Upper Marlboro. Okay, yes, she's around our way. So thank you, Queen, for being here. I've got Sharice, who was also stationed with us at Nellis, and so we were all stationed together at Nellis, but we never ran into one another, which is very odd.
It is.
You know what I mean? But between Creech and Nellis, there is a lot of roadway in between. So you could be here, there, everywhere, and really not run into people. So she's on the Facebook side. I've also got Glenroy. Glenroy is in the building. He is tuning in from Antigua.
Oh.
And he said he had to make an emergency trip to check on his dad. But he is here tonight for the conversation for a little while. Well, we thank you. I'll be praying for your dad, because I know when you get called and you need to go back to the island, you got to go back to the island. Okay. So, but thank you for tuning in all across the waters. And then we got Keith, Keith in the building. All right.
Yes.
Our brother, all right, our little brother. He gonna be our little brother, y'all, because that's just what it is. Even though he might be older, I don't care. He's our little brother. All right, but he is here as well. Hey, fam, he says. So we see you. And then Charmaine responded with, hi, sisters. Now, Facebook is not allowing us to be great again, but I see the comments. I know that you were there. So we thank you for supporting us and being here tonight. And then we got Jacqueline, who said the life of a military woman, or as I like to call us, Wonder Women.
Yes.
Okay. Because there is a lot of truth to what you were saying. Like, there was a lot of responsibilities we had as, we were leading, but, oftentimes we're leading our families, that we have to, take care of all the people because it's a nurturing sort of, pathway that we sometimes have. So we find ourselves, constantly battling like who comes first, family, job, whatever else, can be. So I know that, your journey was similar to a lot of our journeys in such a way, but I'm so excited about what you're doing, Queen. I can't even contain myself. So first of all, y'all, okay, let me just tell you something about Kim. So we were at this event, and our other brother, and he be our little brother too. His name is Todd Simmons. Okay. And we were having this event, and I was there, I was vending. Then I had an opportunity to sit on the panel. And Kim's question was very interesting. And I was like, that's my girl. I see it already in her eyes and in her way that she was sharing. So she says, so how did you get your motivational speaking certification? Like, what are these certifications? I was like, oh yeah, girl, you can just go on in any of these online courses and you can learn about something that you're very passionate about and get a certification in it. All right. And it's completely different from what we were doing while we were in the military. But guess what? It allows us to have, and you said it so good before we got in here, freedom. Okay.
Yeah.
Freedom. Yeah. So freedom is something that, we both are now into. So I do want to ask you about the transition. All right. And I think that's important for all of us to be as real and raw as we possibly can, because sometimes they see people like ourselves and we're just out there getting it. But like, tell me, like some of the thoughts that you got going on with this transition and what that's looked like for you.
So I decided to transition a year ago. When I decided to transition a year ago, I was burnt out. I was on convalescent leave, and I was getting phone calls, and I knew I was done, but I knew I was done. But that really made me think as I was on convalescent leave and with the family and literally on the couch, just, recuperating. Is this what I wanted to keep doing? Or do I want to keep, I felt like I was pouring from an empty cup. And so one part of the transition was taking care of my body and my soul. The other part of the transition was trying to figure out how every little thing was going to work. How I stepped out on faith. I pushed the button. In fact, I received the message from my son's school that said on this day is his graduation. I went online, I pressed the button so that I could retire and he could graduate all at the same time. Now, when I first pressed that button, I thought this was a great idea.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. But as it came closer, I was like, what in the world did I agree to do? Because that means I agreed to at least 5 different transitions all at once. I didn't think about that ahead of time. And so as the day got closer, so then I'm thinking about, okay, I need to think about how am I going to do his graduation? How am I going to do my retirement? So then I'm also thinking about everyone else. I'm like, okay, so I need to have my family here at the same time so they could do the graduation and the retirement. So I'm thinking all those thoughts. We live in military housing, so I know we have to move. So I'm also thinking about where we're going to live, where we're going to go, all that kind of stuff. I am married to the wonderful Daryl Pollard. And so he retired in 2015. And so that was also the thing of, okay, well, he's been super dad. He's been wearing the cape for the last 10 years. And he's like, okay, I'm going to put the cape down and go back to work. And I won't lie to you, I got nervous. I'm going to be real about that. I got nervous because he had been filling the gap. I was TDY all the time. The assignment to write Pat, those 2 years, I was not with my family. They were in Texas. And so I was thinking, oh, what am I going to do without him filling the gap? Basically, the gap filler is going to look different. It's going to feel different. And so that was the thing. So between the transition of leaving the Air Force after 25 years, having a lot of emotions about that, a lot of emotions about everything dealing with that, becoming an empty nester, my son graduating, going to college, And I didn't realize that I would go through this whole mourning period of he's in the house all the time, now he's not, and crying and all that kind of stuff, but those things. And then, like I said, leaving the Air Force and then deciding to stay home and work on my own career. That was scary. It was scary. Okay. So I have to be honest about that. It was scary. I'm not going to pretend like it wasn't. It was scary. And then a few things started lining up. I remember I called Trisha Malik one day. I've been friends with Trisha since the first time I was at the Pentagon. And we've been doing Arbonne as far as me being a client for years. And I called her. I said, I'm tired of this. One, I want to be healthy. Two, I just need to go ahead and become a consultant. She said, well, Kim, just press this button on this website that you already have access to, and you're a consultant. I said, oh my goodness, it was so easy. So that helped me kind of start changing and transitioning my mind. The mind transition, that was and has been, and it still is a big part of how do I transition now. So I very quickly, I gained an Arbonne family. So at the very beginning of this year, my Arbonne family came around me. We did the 30 hard, and then I had all this different training and found that my cup started filling up again. My passion started filling up again. I was getting excited. It was, you can serve in a different way. What if your vision for your business, for your life, what if it included giving and serving others, which that aligns with my Air Force career? Well, what if you did that as an entrepreneur? Well, that made me go, oh wow, what if I could? Because initially I was only, and I laugh about this now, I only wanted to do Arbonne as a consultant to pay for my retirement ceremony and party. That's all I wanted.
I mean, that's a goal.
That's all I wanted. I said,
you know what I mean?
Right, I just need a little extra to pay for this, so it's not coming out, but I could not have imagined what happened after that. Being able to get my friends together, do a book bag drive, being part of other organizations. So anyway, so those were things that helped me. It helped me to not isolate. And everyone said that, don't isolate. It helped me also. I joined a kickboxing gym. As you know, we love Peloton. So love my Peloton, but I also need to put those gloves on, because then I was going through all the emotions, and it really helped me to get the bag.
That's right.
Get the bag, get those things out. That was definitely part of the transition. The money. What is money going to look like? Is money going to be funny? And I don't want to laugh. So those things, right? Trying to think through that and thinking through, okay, what are we going to do? Moving. But everything, things have just worked out. We are blessed. We believe in God. So we are blessed and highly favored. And so multiple things have happened where do I know what's going to happen in a month? No, but I'm fine with not knowing. But the transition, I'll say the biggest part of the transition was up here. It was, and in my heart. It was here. It was doing a lot of that, trying to figure out how to do that. I very quickly was okay with taking the uniform off. In fact, I found a way to, there's a group on Facebook that's all about giving your uniform items to airmen that need them because of stocks and supplies and things like that. The supply chain is low, all that kind of stuff. And so I just went on there and put my uniforms on there and started sending my stuff to different airmen. That made me feel good too. And just finding other ways to fill my cup now that my service was changing. It's not ending, it's changing, after those 25 years. So that's been that's been the transition. Now the entrepreneur, transition, that's been scary too. I'm like, I don't know how to do this. But one Arbonne really did help. I remember we talked about that early on.
Listen, we definitely did. And before I move on with that, I'm gonna just acknowledge on the Facebook side. So Glenn Roy said, has anyone ever thought about developing a training for employers that hire veterans? One that lays a baseline for how we are programmed to communicate and even how we take in tasking in an operational sense. And I know there's quite a few people that are out there, Glenn Roy. You go on the LinkedIn side, we're over there, that there are a lot of nonprofits that are designing training programs, resources for these special types of needs that veterans are now asking for. Instead of just making up stuff like they used to, they're actually making stuff that we need. And so I think this is one of those ones where They are having training. I know one woman in particular in Arizona who's actually doing that. She even created a guidebook for employers on how to, hire a veteran, how to communicate with the veteran, and so forth. And Jeba, she's over there on that side too. Hey, Jeba, how you doing? First Sergeant. Okay, so we got First Sergeant in the building as well. So listen, transition, and I absolutely love like your energy. The energy that you have right now, Kim, is like, because I knew Kim when you were in uniform, and I, know of Kim now. It's not like you've changed dramatically, but I can tell what you're doing right now is most fitting to you, and you are so pumped up, you are hyped up about it. You like, listen, we about to have these parties. Y'all, we were at this at one of our girlfriends' house, D Mosley, and we go over there, and we're on there, and we're drinking, and we're taking in stuff for the face scrub, and just really having this intimate setting or intimate experience. And you were leading this, and I was like, man, she is glowing. The glow is for real, right? And I think that speaks to, you just need to figure out, like, what is it that you're really enjoying to do? What makes your heart sing? You knew you didn't want to be in the uniform, and listen, service, it takes a lot for us to be in service, y'all. It doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman, okay? This is just a lot, a sacrifice. But you did share about like transitioning into Arbonne, and I was an Arbonne consultant as well. And what I found was it was the perfect stepping stone to where I'm at right now, because they do give you training, they do give you community, they do allow you to see what entrepreneurship looks like and how do you build your community so you can get clients. So, like, for anyone out there who's like thinking of anything, it doesn't matter if it's an MLM, which is, like the merchandise, marketing types of business, or if it's a business you want to start from scratch, from a service, you just need to go for it and see where it takes you. You have no idea, right? You have no idea. So in this transition, you're now into Arbonne, okay? And you're doing this intuitive. Let's talk about these numbers, okay? So again, Kim is all into number and numerology. And if you have not seen any of her lives, y'all, again, I highly suggest that you get on there, because I remember one day I was on there for like an hour, and Kim was like on these numbers. Okay. So she has a whole method of how she goes about doing it. Like, give them a little taste of what I'm talking about.
Well, okay. Give them a little one. I do. I love numbers.
Yeah.
I thought numbers moved around on paper when I was a little girl, so I didn't think I was seeing correctly. I even had a math tutor, all that kind of stuff. I found out, no, they do talk to me, they do speak to me, and I'm not crazy. So numbers. So I have a question for you. Are you willing to be a participant and an example?
Of course I am. Like, let's go.
Okay. So if your birthday is correct online, I wasn't going to say all your numbers out loud. If it's correct online, then I have your numbers already.
Oh, this is oh, like, let me get myself together, y'all.
Okay,
like, yes, let's go.
Okay, so I had to put my pen down. Okay. In numerology, and I use numerology as a coaching tool, also a clarity tool. That's the clarity that comes in there. The healthy clarity is clarity on life path and purpose, all those kinds of things, on your God-given purpose. Like, okay, how am I going to get after these things? For some, it's clarity on where am I in my cycles of life, all that kind of stuff. So I know your birthday's the 18th, so that's all I'll say. But the rest of it, if you add all the numbers, yeah, and it's coming up. Happy birthday to you. Okay, I can't. That's not
Leo season. If you're Leo, you know how we do up in here.
Yes. So when I add up all of your numbers going across, all of them, including the 19, some people leave that out. You don't just add in the last 2 digits of the year. You use all 4 digits of the year. You count across on the number line. So when I count across on the number line for you, the big number I get is the number 36. 3 plus 6 is 9. So let me explain that. So 3, 6, and 9 are the creativity triad. Basically, people who are creative. Everything you do, you create something. You're always thinking of something, right? So a 3 is all about communication, joy, bringing things out. Threes need to talk. Threes need to teach. If threes are not able to talk or teach, they will find another way to get it out. Sixes need to take care of people and things. And sixes also, that's another way to fill the cup of a six is, okay, I'm taking care of these people. I have a flock and they're getting better. They're able to do great things. That's a 6. Now the nine puts it all together. 9 is that humanitarian number. 9 is also endings, also completions. When I see 9s, I also say 9s are really good with helping other people complete things too. Like or release that thing or let that thing go. Okay, that's one part. That's the life path and purpose. And I'm going to come back to that. You also have the day of the month number, like the day of that's the 18th. Well, 1 plus 8 is 9. That is a double 9. Yes, ma'am. A double 9. And each one you get there differently. The 3 and the 6 was all about creativity and all about taking care of others. The 1 and the 8, 1 is all about action, and 8 is about power and manifestation. And that is another way, yes, to see your 9. And now you're like, what? Okay, let me be quiet for a minute and let you talk. Because then I add in the coaching part becomes the questions, and now you'll be interviewed right here.
Listen, y'all, she hit the nail on the head. Like, so I'm like, I just can't. And people know I am a creative. I just make up stuff. I just think in my head, like, that sounds good to me. Let me just do it, right? And then I have to speak. I have to train. I have to teach. I want my community, Slay Nation, okay, the Slayers. I want us to be like out and about and express ourselves in such a way where we're bringing this energy, good energy, out into the world. I am like over myself right now. Yeah, like 1 plus 8 is 9. I'm a double 9, y'all. I'm a double 9, you know. So I just love that the work that you are doing to like bring awareness to somebody. And it's fun. It's really good fun. Even Charmaine says she wants to play. Okay. She said, ooh, I want to play too. Okay. So we got to give her your numbers. All right. Type in your numbers, Charmaine. Yes. Okay. Because this is really good. And so then you said you offer the intuitive coaching.
Yes.
Based on the results of the numbers.
That's right. So, and there's 2 parts that I would go with that. You got to hear all about your double 9. So some of the questions that go with the double 9 include, and what I would do as a coach is I would get your goals and all those kinds of things first. Then we would look at the numbers and go into it that way. So it'd be based on your goals. Then I would ask certain questions. Some of them could deal with endings and things like that. But for you, the one that stuck out for me was really the humanitarian. And that question is, how can you serve with wholeness and not depletion? And then for you, what came was, how can you serve with wholeness and depletion? And how are you teaching that in this cycle of your life? They're SLAYMAZING people. that's how that one. That's one. The other one, since your birthday is coming up, when we look at numerology, we look through the lens of numerology, it is once again your birthday. So the month, and it's coming up. We already said 8 and 1 8, right? But then it also becomes the year 818 plus 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 5, right? You count all that across. That's a 26, which is an 8. So a year of a 26-8. So that is, the 2 is balance. It's also reciprocity. 6 is taking care of others, taking care of things. 8, where I said, it's that power and manifestation number. So some good things to think about as you're going into an 8 year. In numerology, the numbers go from 1 to 9. So this means that you're coming to the end of one of your 9-year cycles. And then when you get to the 9, it starts back over at 1, right? Yes, it starts back over at 1. So when you're in an 8 year, you can almost look back to when you were a 1 year. You go back about 7 years, 7 to 8 years, and say, did you do the things? Yes. Did you do the things that you told yourself you were going to do? At the end of the day, this is, what have you told yourself you were going to do? What did you, or for some, if it's a God thing, what did you promise God you were going to do? Did you get there by the time you got to your 8, or by the time you are at the end of your 8? Did that thing manifest? Did that thing, and it could be manifestation of things. It could also be manifestation of money, right? It could be how much work.
Now we talking.
All right, that work came out. So there's definitely some of that. So some of the good questions that go with that is, what does success look like for you now? I always say that, because this is not your first 8. You would have had an 8, years ago. So success in that, I would say success in that previous 8, I think you may have still been in uniform.
I was.
Yeah. So does success in that 8 look the same as it does now? Of course not, right?
Of course not.
Now, right? And then why does it matter to you? And it helps kind of clarify, like, is this really what I want? And for some people, it's like, yes, I do want it because of this, and this. Because when you get to a 9, you'll be celebrated for that thing. It reminds me of when people say you don't want to put the ladder against the wrong building, and then get to the top and figure out you had your ladder on the wrong building, right? You want it to be on the right building. So when you get up there, there can be some clapping and cheering. Another question that goes with a 9 is, where are you called to lead? Those with an 8, 8 year, where are you called to lead? And then this could easily be, if you've been leading this whole time, where are you called to lead differently or in a different way? Or where are you called to create more leaders, right? Or what does that look like? And then the other one is, how can you be both powerful and rooted in integrity? So those are the things.
Oh. Listen, I've been blessed today, y'all. You have no idea how many times I'm going to be repeating this video over and over and over again, because I definitely love the way that you approach the questions. Like, you're coaching and doing it, and it's you. You know what I mean? Like, this is what you enjoy doing, and this is what we're talking about, y'all. Okay, this is what we're talking about. So, first of all, thank you so much for that gift. I feel highly blessed right now. And we've got folks over on the Facebook side. Okay, Charmaine done gave her whole birthday. Okay, so she over there, 2/20/1978. Okay, so you got to hook her up and let her know like what's going on with that. And then Keith said, "Go ahead," and he loves it. So I tell you, no one in my community is just just. We don't do just. Okay, we have a lot of skills, expertise, value that we bring, and we're gonna just keep going on and on and on and on and on with this, right? So going through all of what you shared, okay, which is I'm beyond words right now, and that's hard for me, y'all. Okay. You talk through like numbers, coaching, entrepreneurship, your husband, your son, you have all these different entities and levels to Kim. So like, what's Kim thinking about right now? Like I just want to know, like, how do you see yourself?
Oh, that's a good question. How do I see myself? When you first asked that question, my first thought was, I was trying to figure out, how do I integrate all the pieces of me to serve, right? How do I, so when I was doing, and I am still doing Arbonne, the question had always been, how can I bring these two worlds together and it be natural and it be a service, right? So if you're hearing all those things, you heard all the things about the 9, and if you were to say, I'm trying to have energy, then I want to naturally be like, okay, well, have you had some ginseng fizz or whatever, and without, so how do I, but it has bigger than, that, or you're like, I'm a 9, I'm really good with endings, but I need help, endings at home, start. Then I might be like, okay, well, we got that clean talks, you know what I'm saying? We've got a clean talks to help you release. That's part of being a 9, help you release, right? And then, or, the nines are also they're taking in all this great information because it's creativity. Maybe your creativity is in your quiet time, and you know, then you might want to drink some dream tea, right? So I'm trying to figure out, how do I naturally integrate all parts of me so that I can serve people where they are and in a way that will be best for them. Because and some people, they're not gonna, you know, I just recently, I love her, I'm not gonna say her name, but just recently had a client. I thought I had the whole, because I'm also we're gonna do step 1, step 2, step 3. No, she need to go off to the side. So that's also, I also have to be ready to be flexible and listen to the spirit and be like, okay, this is what you actually need to hear, and then go from there. So I've just, as I'm thinking through all of this, and I feel like I'm being the best version of me. Yeah. How can I be the best version of me while I serve my community with my heart? Because that's part of me. How do I serve with my heart? And then the things that I have to watch out for, I have to watch to make sure that I'm also refilling my cup, right? That I can't do this from an empty cup. So for me, I have a very strong writing practice and prayer practice. And I have a prayer altar, and I'm with my Bible, and you know, all those kinds of things. Sometimes I think there's an old lady living inside of me, because she's like, you need to pray, okay? So so those kinds of things, I have to do those things to make sure that I can be the best version of me when I'm pouring out, so that I'm not drained. And I've also felt it's a different kind of drain. So the drained I felt a year ago in uniform versus the drain I feel giving. I say give myself away, like that song. I give myself away, right? When I'm giving myself away, that's right. It's a different drain, but it is a drain. And in order for me to, back then I wasn't figuring out a good way to refill. I have to refill with some prayer, or go take a walk in nature, or whatever that thing is. How, you know, that would be the biggest thing, making sure that I can authentically give myself away and serve my community without being depleted.
Yeah.
And without feeling like I'm selling something. Like the stuff I'm doing, I really believe in. Even I was like, I've been using Arbonne since 2016. I'm like, oh, I believe in the products. My face. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, your face is glowing. So I'm like, what you putting on your face, Kim? We want some of that too. Okay.
So yeah. So that's what it is. I give myself away, but with energy, with feeling, with, oh, this is who I really am. This feels great. Yes, I don't have to hide who I am, which feels really great.
I think that it's absolutely beautiful, and you're doing it because when people want to buy things, they're not buying it just to be buying it. They're buying you, Kim.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And Arbonne is being sold by 1,000 people, billions of people, I guess. But, you know, not everyone is buying from everybody, you know. So that's the beauty of what we can do. And that's why I talk about branding. Okay. Like, listen, y'all, I am so big on branding right now that you might get sick and tired of me talking about it, but it absolutely works. It's a tool. You know, think about all of the facets of life, right? That you can share and you can bring in that storytelling, especially with Arbonne, with the numbers. Man, you don't even have to think about content. You got messages on top of messages that you can share. And when we do that, y'all, we're bringing our most authentic self to the table, because it's who we are.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So I don't care. Like, at every Arbonne party, guess what this queen is doing? I'm like, what we buying in here, y'all? Okay, get out your cars, get your wallets out, okay? Because you will be buying something, because you're buying it from you. We're buying it from you, right? So you just have to continue to trust in yourself, like you're doing. And I am so proud of you. Like, I don't know how else to say that. But, you know, I see you doing your thing. And when you're doing your thing, the excitement and the air about it is just so genuine. It's very sincere. And you talked about hiding, okay? Because we did hide it. And we, you know, a lot of times we did some things in the military just so that we can survive, you know, just so we can make it through the day. And sometimes that required us to hide in a corner somewhere, or
Mm-hmm.
hide our true feelings, or hide our true emotions, or, hide the way that we were thinking about something just so we can make it through the day. And so when you take that uniform off and you're able then to transition into something that you really enjoy doing, it creates a whole new way. I think in the neural pathways, there's changing your brain waves on how you used to think about things, and then resetting yourself into a course where you can see yourself in success. And yes, success for me looks so much different than it did. Again, y'all, I'm far removed, so don't be asking me to come in there and speak about any policies, about any rules, and all this other stuff. I have no idea, because I've allowed myself to find success
Yes.
in a different way. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So what else are you going to tell us about Queen?
Well, let's see. I want to go back to when you talked about the passions, because I don't think I said to you, well, that may have been but 2 years ago when we had that conversation in that panel and classes in your passions. So then I gave myself permission to take the classes in my passions. Which I'm so proud of myself when I say this, I finally said, you know what? I could go get the numerology certification and pay out of pocket, but whatever, I can go get it. And I did. I went and did the numerology certification, which then led to the holistic coach certification. So then I was like, okay. And I also did the fun things too. I love to talk and I love to make people laugh. I joined Armed Services Arts Partnership. Next thing I'm doing improv. Next thing I'm doing storytelling. I wrote a play. It's on stage. People are laughing. And I'm like, I didn't think. In fact, that was one of the things that filled my cup. I wrote a comedy while I was on convalescent leave and then watched them act it out on stage. It was something that happened in the family. So hubby, he doesn't necessarily want me to write those anymore. Everybody else laughed, And I told
Carol
him,
said, no, you gone too far, Queen.
Right? I said, but the best stuff comes from real life. You had to remind myself that in 2014, I was active in Toastmasters and started doing humorous speaking, started winning contests. The one where I went through and won almost all the way to the top, it was based on something that happened with me and Daryl. They turned that stuff into comedy. And I used to have, back when I just became a master resilience trainer, I used to say, and back then it was something horrible, it was divorce and single momhood and all this. I used to say, one day I'm going to look back on this and laugh. And now I say, yes, one day I'm going to look back on this and laugh, and they're going to laugh too, and they're going to laugh too. They're going to fall out their seat. We all going to laugh because one day we're going to look back. And that's also part of my thing. I'm like, it can't be so hard that I can't look back on this and laugh. And that's been really big when it comes to my own resilience, my own life as a mom, wife, friend, sister. I want to get to the point where I can look back and laugh, and it need to be a belly laugh. Like, oh, that's not funny. Right. I got to work it out.
It's not deep enough. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Yes. Yeah. You know what? Again, I think when you said you gave yourself permission to see what this thing is all about and where you go, and it's all about investing. This is stuff that we weren't necessarily doing while we were in service. I don't even remember the last time I actually invested myself when I was in uniform. I never did. I mean, you know how they did. They cut us orders, and there we were out TDY, and we go to all these seminars and conferences and whatnot. That was part of the job. But anything outside of that, I never really invested into anything that I actually wanted to do. And so, doing that in this new chapter of life and finding all these different ways that we could see ourselves in and really like enjoying life to its fullest. And not to say that this is something that everyone should be doing, because I understand and I get it, right? Like, not everybody wants to go out here and pretty much, hunt for their paychecks, if you will. Okay. Because that's what we're doing when we're building businesses. But however, we're doing it in such a way where we can see where we are being tested, we're being challenged, we're being pushed into a new way of doing things and allowing ourselves just to enjoy the process and trust the process in the whole midst of things. So, y'all got any questions out there in the audience? Because we could be on here all night long. Okay. But I do want to like ask, final questions and so forth. So that way, we let these folks go and do whatever they got to be doing on a Sunday night. So as you continue on into your journey, and it's been 1 August, but you've been, out of uniform for some months now.
Yes.
All right. So what would you share with anyone who is transitioned, like they are in transition right now? Like give them the top 3 things that they should do for themselves right now.
Have faith. That sounds easy, but have faith. Step out on faith, and if you're scared, do it anyway. Those were not the 3 things. I felt like that was all one. 2, really think about what is it you really want to do. Not what are you doing because of fear or out of fear. What do you really want to do? And what does it really take to do that? And if you could do anything and be anyone and have, let's say, as much money as you want in the world, what would you be doing? What's keeping you from doing that? That to me is a very quality question to ask yourself. And then just be honest. If it's like, I'm just not going to do that right now, I'd rather just do this. It's easy. Or, and be honest with yourself and be honest with your feelings and even the way you interact with the world based on your decision after you transition. I would say that would be really the big ones. And then give yourself grace. Okay. Give yourself grace. There's going to be times where you're like, oh my God, and all this other stuff. Give yourself grace. I had to give myself grace. I had to remind myself that I've only been retired for 10 days.
That's it.
And I've had to tell myself, why am I not wherever I want? Where am I not? Look, I've only been retired for 10 days. Kim, calm yourself down. You were doing good job. So yes, give yourself grace. Lots of it.
Yes, I agree. Thank you for that, because like we were sharing before, we're probably doing better than we think we are. Yes. All right. Yes, and we don't beat ourselves up too much, because when you're in service, there's a whole nother world in there, and you're getting scrutinized, and people are always trying to come for you. Okay. But now in this next, you can do things just a little bit slower. You don't have to just rush into things and think that I'm supposed to be all the way over here because I see somebody all the way over here. All right. You're running your own race. It's your own path. And you know what? When you are a trailblazer and when you're a change maker, you sometimes people don't understand all that. All right. They don't get it. And so you're the leader of that. You just have to be a little bit patient and just continue to do. All right. Because we're going to show up for you. All right. We're going to show up for you. So my last question for you, Kim, and this has been such a treat, is on your 80th birthday. Okay. You got your family, your friends around you. And, we're ready to blow out the candles on the cake. What do you want them to say about you?
I've thought about this. And it's not what they're saying. Like, I see the picture of them and I see them all smiling or looking proud, looking full, looking fulfilled. That's what I want. Sometimes it's not in what they're saying, it's in what they're not saying. I want them healed, healthy, blessed, and prosperous. I don't care if I'm gray or if I have no hair at all, but they're healed, healthy, blessed, and prosperous. And when I barely can blow out that candle, they can be, Grandma, we got you, whatever that thing is that they're doing. But that's what's all around me, and just see it. And to be like, you thinking by then, Mama, look, we made it. Or Grandma, look, we made it. I don't even know if I need them to say anything other than happy birthday. But I just want to see them whole, healed, healthy, blessed, and prosperous. All of them. Multiple generations. That's what
multiple generations.
Multiple generations.
I love this. I love that. You know what, y'all? Thank you, okay, Kim, for being here and just having a great hour. And for all of my guests that were there on the social medias. Thank you for showing up live for us tonight, because you could have been anywhere else and you decided you wanted to hang out with us for a little bit. So we had Chevy on LinkedIn holding it down. We had Jacqueline on YouTube holding it down. And then we had on a Facebook side, y'all just showed up over there. We had Charmaine, Glenroy, Sharice, Keith, and who else up in there? And Jeba. Don't forget Jeba. Okay. So thank y'all for being here tonight. And please share to anyone who you think may need this word of encouragement that we were talking about today. Subscribe to the Slate to Success YouTube channel, of course. And as you know, okay, we will be back here next Sunday, okay, which will be the day before my birthday. All right. So we'll be back here. I have another SLAYMAZING guest. And if you need anything from any of us, please don't hesitate to reach out. So as we know, this is the last sign off until we see you again. I'll be back on Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Rise and Slay morning show. But keep on slaying until you can't slay no more. And we'll talk to y'all very soon. Bye-bye.